The Nissan Leaf has always been seen as the affordable, practical choice in the EV world. But the 2026 model? It just might change the game. With sharper styling, a completely redesigned interior, and a range boost that finally puts it closer to rivals like Tesla and Hyundai, this is the most ambitious Leaf we've ever seen. But here's the twist. While Nissan has solved many old problems, one major issue could still hold it back. So is the 2026 Leaf the upgrade EV buyers have been waiting for, or another missed opportunity? When you think of electric cars, the Nissan Leaf probably isn't the first name that comes to mind anymore. And that's surprising, because when it first launched back in 2010, the Leaf was one of the very first mass-market EVs in the world. It gave everyday drivers a realistic way to go electric without spending Tesla money. Over the years, though, as rivals like the Tesla Model 3, Hyundai Ioniq 5, and Chevrolet Bolt pushed the boundaries of design, technology, and range, the Leaf started to feel a little outdated. But now, Nissan is fighting back. The 2026 Nissan Leaf arrives as more than just a facelift. It's a signal that Nissan wants to reclaim its spot as the go-to EV for budget-minded buyers who still demand modern style and serious capability. With a sleeker exterior, a cabin that feels far more premium, and a promised boost in range, the Leaf is stepping up in areas where it used to lag behind. Of course, the question is, does it finally measure up against today's stiff competition? Or is it still a step behind in the EV race? In this review, we'll break down the design, interior tech, safety, performance, and price, and we'll also reveal the one major issue that could hold this car back. So let's dive in. Now let's get into what the 2026 Nissan Leaf actually brings to the table. Because on the surface, it feels like Nissan has finally listened to years of feedback. Starting with the exterior, the design looks far sharper than before. Gone is the bubble-like shape that made the older Leafs feel dated. Instead, you now get bold lines, a sleeker profile, and a more aggressive front end with Nissan's V-Motion grille design. The headlights are slimmer and sharper, giving the car a more modern stance that can actually stand next to rivals like the Hyundai Ioniq 5 without feeling out of place. Even the wheels are sportier, and the aerodynamic tweaks help not just with style, but with efficiency too. Step inside, and the transformation is even more noticeable. The interior finally feels premium. Soft-touch materials replace the cheap plastics of the past, and the cabin layout is cleaner and more spacious. The centerpiece is a larger infotainment display with updated graphics and wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto support. Nissan has also added a fully digital driver display, so you can customize the information in front of you, from range estimates to navigation. And for families, rear passenger space has been slightly improved, making road trips just a bit easier. When it comes to technology, Nissan is pushing harder than before. ProPilot Assist, the brand's semi-autonomous driving system, comes standard on higher trims. It helps with lane keeping, adaptive cruise, and even traffic jam assistance, features that used to feel reserved for pricier EVs. Add in a suite of safety tech like automatic emergency braking, blind spot warning, and rear cross-traffic alert, and the Leaf feels like it's caught up to where the competition has been heading for years. Of course, the biggest question for any EV is performance and range. The 2026 Leaf offers a noticeable bump here. The standard model now delivers around 230 miles of range, while the extended range version pushes closer to 300 miles on a single charge. That's a huge step forward compared to the outgoing model, which struggled to stay competitive against Tesla and Hyundai. Charging speeds have also improved, with fast charging now capable of taking you from 20% to 80% in under 35 minutes, perfect for quick pit stops on longer drives. Performance-wise, don't expect it to be a sports car, but that's not really the Leaf's mission. With smoother acceleration, better handling thanks to chassis tweaks, and a quieter ride, it finally feels like a truly refined EV. City driving is effortless, and highway cruising is far more confident than before. But here's the thing. While Nissan has fixed so many of the old pain points, there's still one area that could leave buyers second-guessing. And it's something we'll get into a little later, because it may end up being the Leaf's biggest limitation in 2026. And this is where everything comes together, the real-world driving experience. On paper, the 2026 Nissan Leaf promised upgrades, but out on the road, it's clear Nissan wasn't bluffing. The acceleration is smooth, responsive, and noticeably quicker than before. In city traffic, it feels agile, darting in and out of lanes with ease. On the highway, the cabin stays surprisingly quiet, with road and wind noise kept to a minimum, something past Leaf struggled with. But the real highlight is the improved range. For the first time, you don't feel like you're planning every trip around the next charging station. That 300-mile extended range version finally puts the Leaf in the same conversation as the Hyundai Ioniq 5 and even edging closer to Tesla territory. And during test drives, the Leaf consistently held up to those numbers, making it feel far less like a compromise and more like a confident daily driver. However, this is where the big question mark appears. While the Leaf now has the styling, the tech, and the range, Nissan's decision to stick with older battery chemistry means charging speeds still lag behind the competition. Yes, you can fast charge in about 35 minutes, but rivals are already pushing for 20-minute or even 15-minute solutions. For buyers who prioritize road trip convenience, that could be a deal breaker. So, has Nissan finally built a Leaf that feels like more than just a budget-friendly EV option? Absolutely. But does it completely erase the gap between itself and the leaders of the EV market? Well, not quite. And that's what makes this car both exciting and frustrating at the same time. So after spending time with the 2026 Nissan Leaf, the verdict is clear. This isn't just an upgrade, it's a reinvention. Nissan has taken a car that was starting to fade into the background of the EV conversation and made it relevant again. The sleeker design, premium interior, and extended range all give the Leaf a modern identity that it desperately needed. For the first time in years, it feels like a car you'd be proud to park next to its higher-profile rivals. But let's not ignore the drawbacks. Charging speeds still lag behind the industry leaders, and for buyers who value fast, long-distance road trips, that could be the sticking point. Nissan has clearly focused on making the Leaf a more polished daily driver. Something for commuters, families, and budget-conscious EV shoppers who want range and refinement without breaking the bank. For that audience, the Leaf is a solid choice. It delivers practicality, efficiency, and comfort in a package that finally feels competitive. But if you're the type who demands cutting-edge performance and blazing fast charging, you might still find yourself looking toward Tesla, Hyundai, or Kia. In the bigger picture, though, the 2026 Leaf matters. It shows that Nissan is serious about staying in the EV race. And if this car succeeds, it could push other automakers to keep innovating at the affordable end of the market. And that's good news for all of us. So, is the new Leaf the perfect EV? Not quite. But is it the best Leaf yet? And a car worth considering if you want an affordable way into the EV world? Absolutely. What do you think? Has Nissan finally done enough with the 2026 Leaf to win back buyers? Or is it still playing catch-up? Let me know in the comments. And if you enjoyed this review, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe for more car breakdowns, and share this video with someone who's thinking about going electric.